Hey there, if you're new to this channel, you may not know, but I'm really into anime. Obviously. I also really like personality quizzes, in particular more of the geeky ones. Again, obviously. In the past, I've done a few of these personality quiz / crossover AU type of videos with Danganronpa and Harry Potter, but this time I thought I'd try my hat at sorting a different series instead. You get it? Sorting hat? Okay, sorry. Bad jokes are kind of a thing around here. Anyway, as you can see by the title, today we'll be taking Class 1A from My Hero Academia and sorting them into their Hogwarts houses and trying to figure out which classes and extracurricular hijinks they might get into during their time at Hogwarts. All of this is just my opinion on these characters as I experienced them, so be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments, and sharing the video is always helpful too, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Yuga Aoyama, Slytherin. Right out of the gate, and I feel like I already need to do a little bit of explaining, but Aoyama is most definitely heading over to Slytherin. While yeah, his inflated sense of ego is a bit of a front, the fact that Aoyama is socially cunning enough to even have a pompous exterior, likewise cunning enough in battle to know when and where to use his quirks, is good enough reason for me to give him the nod to Slytherin. I imagine Aoyama would excel in charms during his stay at Hogwarts. He needs to learn a few twinkling spells. Mina Ashido, Gryffindor. Without a doubt, Mina's grabbing a red and gold scarf and joining Gryffindor. Mina's excitable personality alone is goofy enough to feel right at home with the bombastic Gryffindor house, but she's also demonstrated her courageous and daring nature several times during the show, always ready to dive into the next challenge as long as it's not a written test. Mina would probably struggle with some of her more academic subjects while excelling in the more practical ones, and I can see her doing really well on the Quidditch team as one of the chasers. Tsuyu Asui, Ravenclaw. Our first Ravenclaw of the video, Tsuyu is hopping on over and grabbing herself a blue and silver scarf. I feel like of all the houses, Tsuyu would work best with Ravenclaw since she's shown herself to be clever, witty, and pretty wise during her time on the show. She's level-headed and calm in battle, analyzing a situation before leaping into the fray. During her stay at Hogwarts, I feel Tsuyu would do well in her transfiguration classes, but maybe even her potion classes as well. Katsuki Bakugo, Gryffindor. Here's an easy pick for me. Without a doubt, Bakugo is a Gryffindor in my eyes. Bakugo is brave and daring with nerves of steel, all of which are traits most commonly associated with Gryffindor, not to mention his boastful and cocky personality. I'd have to imagine that Bakugo would of course love defense against the dark arts classes. In terms of extracurricular activities, I could see Bakugo on the Quidditch team as a beater, maybe even becoming a member of the dueling club. Toru Hagakure, Hufflepuff. Well, here's a character I had a difficult time sorting because I feel like we still know next to nothing about her yet, but hopefully that will change soon. For now, she's heading on over to Hufflepuff. She's typically shown working in groups or alongside Eijiro and has a perfect score of 5 out of 5 in cooperation in the official handbook, and that's all I got. I just don't know enough about her, so that's my most educated guess. I feel like Toru would do well in charms, and maybe she sneaks around the school in an invisibility cloak because why not? Tanya Ada, Slytherin. Once again, I need to remind you all that Slytherin does not mean that the student is evil. Ada demonstrates excellent leadership skills along with being ambitious, determined, resourceful, all of which are excellent Slytherin traits. For his classes, I can see Ada tackling all of them with passion, excelling in flying, and being the fastest in his class. After class, Ada would definitely be a seeker for the Slytherin Quidditch team and would definitely be a prefect as well, maybe even head boy in his 7th year. Kyoka Jiro, Ravenclaw. Here's another pick that felt like an easy no-brainer for me. Jiro is most definitely going to be a Ravenclaw. There's a misconception that all Ravenclaw students are geniuses in terms of knowledge, and this is very untrue, as there are many kinds of intelligence that go beyond the classroom, and in Jiro's case, not only is she clever enough in the heat of a fight, but her creativity in music is also a very key Ravenclaw trait. In my mind, Jiro would excel most in her music courses, obviously. Denki Kaminari, Gryffindor. I hope this isn't too much of an electrifying choice, but Kaminari is heading on over to the Gryffindor common room. I decided on Gryffindor over the other choices for Kaminari, as he's demonstrated that when push comes to shove, he's very brave when facing off with his fellow heroes and courageous in the face of danger. Plus, Gryffindor students tend to be a little bit foolhardy as well. I feel like Kaminari would scrape by in his classes with an edge in charms. Eijiro, Kirishima, Hufflepuff. This one, I feel like I may get a little bit of flack for, but I'm standing by this one. Kirishima is grabbing himself a black and yellow scarf. While yes, I did consider going with Gryffindor at first, Kirishima ultimately struck me as a Hufflepuff at the end of the day. He's fiercely loyal to his pals, very patient and tolerant when it comes to Bakugo, and is easily one of the hardest working students at UA. I can see Kirishima acting as one of Hufflepuff's beaters on the Quidditch team, as well as being a member of the dueling club. Koji Koda, Hufflepuff. Koda was actually sort of difficult to sort at first, but I feel like the soft-spoken Koda should head on over to the Hufflepuff common room. I ended up deciding on Hufflepuff as he's shown himself to be quite loyal to his fellow classmates, in particular his attempt to overcome his phobia of insects to get him and Jiro the win against Present Mike. I'd imagine that Koda would do exceptionally well in his care for magical creatures classes during his stay at Hogwarts. Izuku Midoriya, Ravenclaw. When I was first putting this list together, I felt like Deku would have slipped into either Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff, but ultimately decided on Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw students value several traits that Deku has in spades, namely his intelligence, creativity, and cleverness, all of which we see from Deku when his back is against the wall. I'd say that Deku would excel most in Defense Against the Dark Arts, Ghoul Studies, and a history of magic. Lastly, I can definitely see him being on the Quidditch team as a keeper. Minoru Mineta, Slytherin. It's time for everybody's favorite Class 1A student. That's right, folks. You can relax now. Here he is. Mineta is going to Slytherin. Mineta is actually a heck of a lot smarter than people are willing to give him credit for, and he's definitely come off as cowardly in the past, but has grown over the series to be more cunning than cowardly, and I do feel like he'd be a pretty solid Slytherin student. I think Mineta would do pretty well in most of his studies, though he wouldn't exactly study hard enough to be top of the class. Mashirao Ojiro, Gryffindor. Yep, that's right, the martial arts hero is heading on over to the Lion's Den. Ojiro is one of those characters that I'd really like to see more from in the future, as he's one of the Class 1A students who just hasn't gotten enough shine yet. That said, judging off what we've seen from him so far, like dropping out of the sports festival after getting used by Shinso, I'd say that he's definitely chivalrous enough to join Gryffindor, but unfortunately, that's all I got for now. Rikido Sato, Gryffindor. Once again, another character who I feel like we just flat out don't know enough about, but the hero in training with the biggest sweet tooth around is heading on over to Gryffindor. Sato is definitely brave, even if his bravery tends to lead him to losses, and yeah, that's basically all I got. Sato is possibly the least developed student from Class 1A, but he bakes, so that's cool. Sorry guys, I got nothing else to add here. Mezzo Shoji, Hufflepuff. Oh, Shoji, you just barely avoided the same fate as the previous two, but luckily, you got a chance to shine this season. Shoji is the definition of loyalty, refusing to give up on Tokoyami during the Forest Training Camp arc, and likewise has been shown to put the safety of his friends before his own numerous times during the series. I could definitely see Shoji excelling in his Transfiguration classes, and possibly being on the Hufflepuff Quidditch team as a beater. Hanta Sero, Gryffindor. Sero is low-key one of my favorites, and I just felt like he'd match best with the red and gold scarf. We've seen Sero demonstrate his nerves of steel in moments like the very lopsided fight between him and Todoroki, and we've seen his daring nature in the use of his quirk, using tape to whip through the air like a certain wall-crawling hero we're probably all familiar with. I imagine that Sero would probably do pretty decent in his classes, and could end up as one of the chasers for the Gryffindor Quidditch team. Fumikage Tokoyami, Slytherin. I think the most difficult character to transition into the Harry Potter universe would be Tokoyami because, well, he's a bird man. I'm gonna level with y'all. Tokoyami is in Slytherin because I know this boy loves his edginess, so it just seemed like a good fit. Tokoyami would probably do well in his Transfiguration classes and Potion classes, possibly as a chaser for the Quidditch team, and I can see him on the Dueling Club as well. Shoto Todoroki, Slytherin. I'm feeling pretty confident with this pick. Todoroki is grabbing that green and silver scarf and heading on over to the dungeon dormitory. Todoroki's shown his cunning, resourceful, and ambitious nature numerous times during numerous brawls in the series, so Slytherin seemed like the best pick. I feel like Todoroki would do well in Defense Against the Dark Arts and would most definitely be a member of the Dueling Club as well. Ochiko Uraraka, Hufflepuff. So I placed Uraraka into Hufflepuff thanks to the hard work, patience, and above all else, loyalty demonstrated not only to her classmates, but especially her family. Uraraka is attempting to be a hero for the money involved, not out of greed, but out of a desire to make her parents happy and give them a comfortable life, which is not only very human, but very Hufflepuff. Uraraka would obviously excel in flying, and of course joining the Hufflepuff Quidditch team as their seeker. Momo Yarozu, Ravenclaw. Last but certainly not least, Momo is heading on over to Ravenclaw because, obviously, Momo is basically Ravenclaw incarnate, and I feel like she's the one pick that everyone's probably going to agree with, so I won't really bother explaining it beyond that. I think it's safe to say that Momo would excel in a majority of her classes with a specific edge in charms and would definitely be a prefect for her house as well. And there you have it, folks, Class 1A sorted into their Hogwarts houses. I hope you enjoyed. Did you agree or disagree with my picks? Let me know civilly in the comments below. Also, what sort of personality quizzes / crossover videos would you like to see from me in the future? I was thinking about doing something along the lines of my old Pokemon team building videos next. I'll link that at the end of the video if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But for now, that's all for me. So until our next meeting, don't scary.